Hey everybody, welcome again to our second half of our show here on A Real Point of View. This is part two. We're talking about films of the 2019 season. And the last thing we were talking about prior to ending our first show is the movie Harriet Tubman. And so Larry, you were about to say something about the movie?
Another film that really got me, and I loved it, and that was Yesterday. I really loved it, and I had the opportunity to have a good 2-hour conversation with a couple of real Beatles fans,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you, these are some pretty outstanding and one of them famous Beatles fans, and we couldn't get enough of this film. And the only thing that there was a difference on was how the movie ended. And yet, what's so interesting, the famous person that I was having the conversation with was Terry Hemmert of Chicago radio fame. She just retired, but she was she was a DJ on XRT since the beginning of XRT, and she is their number one Beatles fan, and she's incredible. She's had a chance to meet all of the Beatles in her life, and she and I got to know each other because she found out that I worked briefly for Paul McCartney. So
what? Whoa! Back that up.
Sir Paul. So I worked a couple of Chicago concerts with him. I was in charge of the volunteers working the concert venue.
Good God, we have got to be nicer to Larry. We had no idea.
Remember, that's what I did for 20 years of my life, So, but and she really believed that that's what the Beatles' music was all about. It wasn't about the Beatles, but it was about what the Beatles gave us. So, in other words, their music is our music.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of music,
at the end of the film, when he gives all of the music away, he's doing exactly what the Beatles wanted. That's her belief. And you know what? I came away with that same feeling. This is music of America pop culture, and it is so ours now. You can't say, "Oh, it's only the Beatles' music." You can't say that anymore.
Right.
The film really showed that. It showed his struggle. This is really not me, I loved it. I walked away from that film feeling very gratified.
Yeah, I kind of figured that movie would be, if nothing else, interesting. And I liked the quirky essence of what it was about, so that was cool. But going back to music, in Harriet, before we jump totally off of Harriet. So in Harriet Tubman, there's different points in the film where she is coming to the different plantations in order to try to help rescue some of the inhabitants at these plantations, and she starts singing these different songs, and so that people would come out and know that they're cued to it's time to get dressed.
Right, the songs were code.
So because of watching the film, thinking, okay, and I know this actress is known she's got a Tony Award. She's just a known singer in my mind, and so it prompted me to look up and clarify that this is actually what was really happening. Not that it didn't happen, but happening with Harriet Tubman. And I was pleasantly surprised and pleasantly informed that this was very much Harriet Tubman's way of getting people to come out so she could persuade them to go with her. So I enjoyed that. But we didn't really talk about a lot of movie music. So thanks, Larry, for bringing that up about the music. Because a lot of times in our previous shows, ladies and gentlemen, we would talk about music as being the other actor or actress or the other influencer, we'll say, of the film, and it being very much a part of it, and definitely, obviously, in Yesterday, and of course in Harriet.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, listen to the soundtrack of Avengers Endgame. The soundtrack is outstanding in that film.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's I wouldn't call it's another character, but it does help with the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives us a context of what is going on in the minds of the filmmakers here, and it really helped a lot. I recently rewatched that movie 2 days ago, and specifically with the soundtrack in mind, and I was really very pleasantly surprised with how well they did that, and they should be recognized for it. I don't know if winning an Academy Award for that is in order, but they should at least be recognized for it. They did a good job. And Tubman, I agree with you as well with Harriet. The soundtrack there, I think, tells the story tells her story and the story of what she was doing wonderfully well. That says a lot. That says a lot when the music tells the story at one level, and the visual narrative is telling the same story at another level, and then the dialogue tells a story at another level, and you wrap all these things together, and you get something that's very whole and very satisfying.
Yeah, and the Lion King exudes that as well. So,
yep.
Definitely that. Now, any comedies out there that you guys liked in 2019?
No.
I found a comedy that I thought was going to be really cool, and because the trailer was so, oh wow, I said trailer, didn't I?
Yep. And that's where you went wrong. That was your first mistake. You watched the trailer.
I did. The movie was little, and it was very little movie too. To go with it, I had hopes that it was going to be really good, and it did. It did one thing for me. It made me stop probably in the middle of it to not watch it anymore. That's
probably the worst. That's probably the worst thing you can say about a movie is I left the theater, or I decided I was going to leave the room, or that really says a lot on how good a movie is.
Yeah.
Or watching Little drove me to watch Big,
which was a much better movie.
But
it was our nemesis, Tom Hanks.
I know. There you go.
So there you go. If he was in Little, it would have been a little bigger. No.
I will say this. Like I said at the very beginning, I enjoyed Hobbs versus Shaw. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed Idris Elba's part in it. The back and forth between Jason Statham and The Rock, just being a game of one-upsmanship, was good comedy. It was, and a lot of it being shared without even saying a word to each other. There were moments where just looking at each other or mouthing something was more than you needed for the scene because it was already funny. Idris Elba playing the villain, but still having just the same amount of witty comebacks that the heroes are having. I mean, he literally goes, "I'm Black Superman." That's genius. Nobody is going to say that. So to have Idris Elba say it, and then turn around a couple scenes later and have The Rock go, "Jesus, he is Black Superman." Like, the acknowledgement of that just is comedy. I'm not going to say comedy gold, but it's genius.
I'm going to be honest with you. With all the different movies that Dwayne Johnson has been in, I like him in the comedy stuff and the melodramatic stuff much more than the dramatic stuff. I think he's hilarious. And I like the movie with him and Kevin Hart.
Which one?
The one he was a CIA agent.
Central Intelligence.
Yeah. That was really funny, wasn't it? Yeah, I was surprised at how funny that was.
Look at his origins. Look at his origins, and he, you know, as a professional wrestler, and his ability to be able to just keep the camera on him, to be able to keep the audience on him. He knows timing. He has it down.
He does.
And
he does.
And gosh darn it. And he's got a really good group of people working around him.
Yeah, he really does.
You can tell.
He does. He understands entertainment. He understands what audiences want to see, not what they'll pay for, but what they want to see. And that's very different. You know, I think that he really has it as far as giving a movie that we can all delight upon. He's a good thing. And I agree with you. This Hobbs and Shaw thing, I thought was just a little comedic masterpiece. I loved it.
Hey, can I bring back the conversation back to music just briefly to give another shout out to, I won't say it's the best movie of its ilk, but I did want to give a shout out to Rocket Man, the biography of Elton, biography of Elton John. And I guess why I won't say it's the best movie is because I don't think it was as good as Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, that's because it wasn't.
Okay, yeah, well, fair point. Bohemian Rhapsody was just brilliant. I loved that movie, absolutely, and I totally think Rami Malek deserved the Academy Award for Best Actor, and I just thought it was just such a beautiful love, like, ode to Freddie Mercury. So Rocket Man had some big shoes to fill, and I don't think it entirely filled them, and maybe it's because Elton John was so involved in the making of that movie. And it's hard to be objective. I mean, you know about your own life, especially when you're the executive producer. Even if you can hire the best writers, you still may not, can get the story told like in the way that a person who's not actually living the life might tell the story. And Elton John had total veto power over any and everything, and maybe he showed some warts that he didn't need to show, or maybe he didn't show enough warts, whatever it was. It's like, it left me a little, oh, okay, this is like too much sort of creative masturbation, if you will, to be a really, I'm sorry, great movie, but the music is undeniable. And, his humble beginnings are undeniable, his abusive childhood. He overcame amazing obstacles to become the artist that he was and is. And so I think, the way in which music was employed in this movie is sort of like catharsis and, sort of a storytelling vehicle was really interesting. So
what are you trying to tell us, Greg?
Hey, we now have an R rating on YouTube.
Whatever.
I got to add another one for soundtrack, and it was a documentary that was recently played on CNN as well. It's Linda Ronstadt, The Sound of My Voice.
I didn't see that. I wanted to see that.
The music. As far as the documentary goes about her life and her professional life and all that, it was just okay. But what made it was the music was just so phenomenal and gave you a real good understanding of her journey as a musician and as a singer and as a performer. Incredible. And it's worth watching just for the music.
Well, particularly with the loss that she's enduring now, because she can't sing like that anymore. And I mean, she was an operatic quality singer when she broke into the pop scene. She could have been an opera singer. She wanted to do rock and country, and she wanted to do popular music. So.
So
how about you, Steve? So how about you? What movie should I keep my eye out for and go see?
Well, I'm gonna assume you saw Godzilla, so that's completely out of the question.
Yeah. Godzilla fan. I have seen every single Godzilla movie I can get my hands on. I won't say I've seen them all. I'll say every one that I've gotten my hands on.
This guy, I'm gonna jump in with something that has nothing to do with 2019. I saw an Ultraman TV series in which they used the Godzilla costume from the original Godzilla. No, not the original one, but like 3 films later when they finally got into color. And they actually put something around its neck to make it not Godzilla for the movie. That's an actual thing that happened.
Wow.
We were talking about soundtracks just a second ago, and I do want to mention that the Godzilla movie did a great job with putting music from the old movies in this movie to bring presence to every different thing that was happening. From the resurrection to the final fight scene to the first time that you see King Ghidorah to Mothra's presence. They did a really good job, and sometimes it was perfectly subtle in the background, not taking away from the scene of the music that they were doing.
One of the things that you'll find for people who know the Godzilla movie and the specific Godzilla soundtrack from the original film and used in almost all of Godzilla films since then, not all, but almost all of them, that soundtrack has been used so many times. TV shows, commercials, other films, and you can't get away from it. It's used everywhere when you have that tense bit of unknowing doom.
True that.
Hey, I
True
got
that.
something. This particular actor, he's a Marvel actor, excellent. But his best role ever, notice I'm doing this, by the way. His best
Please
role
don't mention
ever-
Dr. Doolittle. Oh, what?
I'm not. I wasn't using Iron Man at all. I was using Nick Fury.
Samuel Jackson.
But
Bringing back Shaft.
otherwise known as
Shaft.
Shaft. You're damn right.
And
They say that cat Shaft is a bat. Shut your mouth.
oh, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. We don't have to because we're on YouTube.
rated R.
So we can say bad.
Whatever.
Shaft 2 was a really horrible movie, just so you know. It was funny, quirky, but it did not do anything for the Shaft legacy.
No
It was
Richard Roundtree,
so much
huh?
worse than the regular Shaft movie. And Richard Roundtree, he was in it, and it didn't add anything whatsoever. And that was sad to me because I liked Richard Roundtree in the original.
It would have been better if Richard Roundtree played Shaft and he just realized he's too old to do all this stuff anymore. And then, but you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
There was another movie that I actually found interest in. I was excited to see it because it's from my childhood, and it's from before my childhood. But it actually, I remember reading them when I was little. Blah, 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 blah. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It is a horror movie, and it follows everything in the horror movie genre that it's supposed to follow. But as an adaptation of going from all these stories to bringing it to film, I thought they did a really good job. Not a great over the top. At no given point in time in the film was I terrified, but there were moments where I was just like, oh God, ew. Things like that that you expect to get out of these reactions, especially considering, how much horror doesn't bother people now and the scary. But they did a good job of keeping it suspenseful and more of a thriller than absolutely trying to be terrifying, blood, guts, gore, and all this other stuff. And they did a really good job with it. I feel like if you know the stories or you've read any of the stories, that it is actually a movie worth sitting down and watching just to kind of experience it one time, if you can take it.
Okay,
I can't.
So here's the thing. Both you and Karen, Steve, I believe Karen too. So tell me, both of you, about Us.
Can you really talk about this?
I mean,
This movie is an experience.
Because I haven't seen it. Steve
It is an
approached me with, so here's okay, I'm sorry, I gotta interject. Steve approached me with a trailer.
This was one of the movies. This was one of the movies that the trailer played a very important part of selling this movie to people. Of course, it's Peele, Jordan Peele, and he did such a great job with Get Out.
He really did.
Amazing job with Get Out. And I felt like he did maybe not just as good a job. I felt like Get Out was a better movie all around, but he did a good job evolving what he was trying to do and doing a great job with a different idea. Okay. It's very, you can see its roots in all sorts of other movies of its genre, but talking about this movie would ruin parts of the movie.
Right.
Because there's moments where you're watching this and everything is happening, and for me to tell you about certain bits of it ruins getting to that point, because as you're leading to there, you're going, oh, well, I know what part this is. And then you're just waiting on what comes next, but getting there kind of ruins a little bit of everything else. But it's an awesome movie. It's great that he's going to continue this. If he's going to keep going this direction, he is going to change how we look at thrillers and suspense movies and stuff like that. And
isn't he the host of the Twilight Zone now?
Yes,
he is. And he's doing a movie with Al Pacino about the Nazi hunters. He's executive producer of that.
Yep. Yeah, that's
so it's like
month, I think, or next month, one of those.
Right. So yeah, he's really shown himself to be a major talent, and it's just interesting seeing him attack, different genres and sort of embrace horror, and like Steve said, just do something like sort of push the envelope in terms of creativity, what can be done with a psychological thriller, what can be done, in the name of horror. Mm-hmm. Very, very intriguing, I think.
And I have one more movie. I'm not going to talk about any other movies after this one. I'm going to let everybody get out everything they got to do. Anybody who wants to talk about Joker can talk about the Joker. If you haven't seen the Joker, go see the Joker. I'm not saying anything else about it. The movie that I want to talk about came out in February. Came out February 13th, right before Valentine's Day. I love the original. I came on this show and preached this movie.
Okay, before you go on.
The suspense is killing me.
Wait. I'm doing that on purpose. And back again, right, Steve?
And back again. I preached this movie when the first one came out. And I said the second one was going to be good. And I came on here and I enjoyed every single second of it and everything they added to the movie while still keeping everything going. The movie's called Happy Death Day to You.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
I'm telling you, that you told me about the first one, and I didn't want to see it, and I went and saw it, and I was like, oh, this is so good.
And they made a second one that expounds on the original idea that they had. And for anybody who's seen any of the trailer for the first one, the second one's roughly the same, where in the first movie, you have girl, things happen, she's going through life, she dies. She starts the day back over. Very Groundhog Day.
Very Groundhog Day.
Keeps going. She's trying to figure out who does it. She's trying to figure out who kills herself. It's pretty round and round we go. The way they present the movie Me telling you that right now does not ruin any single bit of the movie, and does not mean you won't enjoy it. It is very good. The acting, for a lot of the people that I have never seen in a movie before, they do a great job of portraying their character. And the main girl you will not like. And then about halfway through the movie, you're gonna be like, God, I really feel for this chick. And then by the end of the movie, you're rooting for her. So she really turns that corner as she's going. And then you're going into this next movie. It's going to be the same movie. It's going to be blah, blah, blah. They're going to give it some ridiculous thing. Do they give a ridiculous idea as to what's going on? Yes. Is it worth seeing it to see the craziness that continues to happen again? Yes. Is it affecting more people? Absolutely. It's so well done, and it adds so much that was missing to the first movie that both of them slide together so perfectly. And then the ending, just like in the first movie, is an ending. Where do we go from here? They did it the first time where they were like, oh, we have an ending, we're good. And then they're going straight into the second one. Oh, we have an ending, we're good. And then they're going straight into the next one. If they make a third one, there's been talks of making a third one, and I will go see that one in theaters too. It is an actual joy to go watch this movie and watch everyone's in it and how they interact with each other. It is awesome.
And it's kind of this feel of the John Wick. You go from the one to the next, and you're still excited on what's going to happen again in the next one, and you're not wavering. And the same thing with Happy Death Day. You're not wavering. It is taking you into the next one, and it is so good. You're right, Steve. I really enjoyed it.
I see Larry straight facing me right now like, I can't believe you just said that.
Larry?
Oh, his picture hasn't changed. That's why
maybe he's frozen.
Okay,
I think Larry might be frozen.
I'm like, Larry is staring into my soul.
I know, it's like he's doing like a Happy Death Day stare.
You want to know how much I was... Here's the thing.
He's talking about the movie Frozen.
Probably. You want to know how happy I was to go see this movie and how much I wanted to see this movie? February 14th, Alita Battle Angel came out.
Right.
I talked to you guys about how much I was excited for the movie. I sang this movie's praises from the very beginning and how good it was going to be. Right. I was not wrong. I don't care what anybody says.
It's a good movie.
I saw Happy Death Day and waited a week to go see Alita Battle Angel.
Wow.
Wow, bro.
High praise indeed.
It was.
So, I'm not talking about movies anymore. This is all you guys for the rest of the show.
Larry,
drop the mic.
On our screen, you're frozen. So apologize for that.
Oh, there he is. Oh, Andy's back. So your favorite film was Frozen? Frozen 2, you were saying, Larry? Is that your favorite film of 2019?
I did like it. It wasn't my favorite. I was scrolling through my list and trying to, and frankly, there weren't that many comedies that I enjoyed this year. But again, there are so many films out there from last year that I haven't even heard about. They played a week somewhere, and that was it.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I said before the show started, we had so many films this year, but only a few of them got a lot of attention from the media and in promotional budgets. And I think, while that's good for a couple of pictures and they end up doing great at the box office, I think it hurts us as film goers. And then we miss out on so many things. And now too, we're getting a lot of films that are being released to stream the day that they're coming out on the big screen. And frankly, seeing a film at home where you can get up and go to the bathroom anytime you want, pause it and all that totally ruins for me a part of the film going experience. Mm-hmm. And frankly, you know, I love going to the movies, sitting down with some popcorn and just allowing myself to be immersed into this world, into this make-believe world that they present. And to me, and it's something that you said much earlier, Karen, is about the whole CGI thing. And it's also a reflection of the slasher films. They don't want you to be immersed. They don't want that. They want to push you. They want to push you hard. And it ends up pulling me or throwing me out of the immersion. Now I'm just, and I'm a distant spectator.
Right.
And that's, to me, then I'm not making that connection then, you know? A film where it could have done that but didn't was Hobbs and Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
They let you get into the film. They let you be immersed, but they could have done it in a way would just throw you out, but they didn't. And that's a good thing, you know? So I've got such a long list of films that I want to see that frankly didn't come around, and yet they're not available to stream yet. And I want to see these films. I want to see them. I want to be immersed in them. Hopefully I can find them in the theater, you know, and not just stream it. So.
Well, to me, I guess I'm with you, Larry, except that I guess I would disagree with you on the need to be in a movie theater. That doesn't, I mean, I guess because I'm so annoyed with the way that people behave in movie theaters, that also takes me out of the movie, what would be the movie going experience, because there's always some idiot who's either, getting up to go, you know, well, they have to go to the bathroom, and of course they have to cross in front of you, or there's somebody who's chomping behind you, or there's, you see the inevitable light from a phone because somebody's texting, and it's like people don't know how to act because they feel like the movie theater is their own personal living room. And so it's like, I'd rather be in my own living room. Thank you very much. At least I know where my feet have been, which is more than I can say for, some of these people.
And you're not sitting on somebody's spilled coat from the previous showing.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Here's the
I
thing for
agree.
me.
The whole entertainment value of going to a movie theater has totally changed, and I agree with you on that. And it's a shame. I think that. Go ahead.
Only thing I was going to say is I'm a tweener. Fortunately for me, in where I live, and Steve, there are a lot of theaters in our area that actually have been redone. Are really nice to go and sit inside. But I like both experiences. I like the experience of, as you alluded to, Larry, about going to the big theater, seeing a big screen, having my popcorn there that I can't make exactly right at home. But yet at the same time, when that opportunity is not available and something has been streamed and I'm able to view on whatever platform, I like that too, because I do have that comfort, as Karen alluded to, of the comfort of home and knowing that everything there is mine and I don't have a problem and I won't have any issues. So I'm kind of a tweener, and that's a whole business about trying to get a bigger screen TV too to help that big screen it out a little bit.
So let me ask all three of you this, because this is important. This is an important thing. What do you think about these movie theaters that are the whole evening experience? You go in and you've got a lounge seat and it reclines, and you even have a place to plug in your phone so it charges up, and you've got waitresses or waiters that come to your seat, take your order. What do you think about theaters like that?
I've been in two different theaters that are similar. The one where they wait on you like a restaurant, and they actually bring you restaurant style and type food.
Right.
And I've also been where it's just the recliner seats that are a lot nicer in that regard, and you can feel a little bit more, quote unquote, comfortable like you're at home. Here's my problem, and not a problem to me. I like all of those movie experiences. And because they are sometimes a little more unique, but at the same time, I get a little bit of home and a little bit of theater together. And I think that's the whole purpose. If they're making it more comfortable, if they're making it more accessible, if they're making it more able, because, you know, like Karen has said, one of the things that bothers you is someone wants to get up and says, oh yeah, I want to get some more popcorn, and they're going. It's better to have somebody bring it to you. You don't have to get up and go wait in line. You're missing whatever's on the screen. You just get to stay there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like all of those experiences, to be honest.
I mean, I'm not mad at them I'm not mad at movie theaters for doing that. I have absolute zero confidence in the quality of any food that would actually be sold in a movie theater, so I don't partake of that. But I'm not mad at them for because I mean they have to do something to hold on to their audience, and they have to do something. Theater owners have to do something to bring in money, because just like cable companies keep increasing their prices because the cost of content keeps going up, well, guess what? Movie studios are increasing their prices for allowing their content to be shown in movie theaters. So the profit margin that comes from ticket sales, even though ticket prices are higher than they've ever been, and I don't even know what it is to get a price break at a matinee anymore. But even with all that, the profit margin's really, really thin. So they've got to make money some way. Unfortunately, what they're doing, I don't think is catching up with what with the speed at which people are disrupting the movie-going experience. But they're trying.
One of the things that might happen, and I've been reading a little bit about this, is a couple of the larger theater chains are thinking of becoming home streaming services themselves. So, for instance, AMC, instead of having 5 HBO channels or 12 or how many they're up to now, you'll have an AMC channel for AMC theater.
Disney's done that already.
And
back
Disney
their essence.
And as a matter of fact, Disney trapped a lot of people, and what they've done now is they've shut the Disney vault again.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, the only way you're going to see the original Pinocchio, is if is to join now, because you don't know when they'll announce it's going to be next month. You don't know when it's going to be. Or they might even do it if you've been a customer for Disney Plus for 2 years or more, you'll be able to get to see Cinderella.
Yeah.
And
well,
they're
I'm sorry, Larry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just we have run out of time. So in our last 20 seconds here, thanks everybody for hanging out with us here on A Real Point of View. We've enjoyed our time with you, and I hope you've enjoyed your time with us. We'll be back again because it's our new season. So just keep a watch for us on our YouTube channel, which is under A Real Point of View. So thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful new year, and we'll be back with some more interesting conversation. Take care, everybody.
Yay!